The silent watchers, Captain Elena Vasquez, pressed her face against the cold metal of the observation window, staring into the endless black of space. The Outer Rim Detection Array station rotated slowly around Pluto, its massive sensors constantly scanning the void beyond the solar system. For 12 years, Elena had watched this empty darkness, waiting for something that everyone hoped would never come. Today, that something had finally arrived. The alarm that pierced the station's silence was unlike anything Elena had heard during her years of service. It was not the gentle chime that announced supply ships or the steady beep of routine maintenance. Alerts. This was the deep, urgent wail that every human in space had trained for but prayed they would never hear. The contact alarm. The sound that meant humanity was no longer alone in the universe. Elena ran through the narrow corridors of the station, her boots echoing off the metal walls. The detection center was already buzzing with activity when she arrived. Lieutenant Tom Bradley sat at the main console, his face pale as he stared at the readings that scrolled across his screen. Dr. Maria Santos stood behind him, her dark eyes wide with a mixture of fear and fascination as she watched the data stream. "Report," Elena commanded, though her voice came out more as a whisper than she had intended. Tom turned to face her, his hands shaking slightly as he pointed to the main display. "Captain, we have multiple contacts approaching from the direction of Alpha Centauri. The computer is still counting, but initial readings show at least 1,500 vessels." Elena felt her blood turn to ice. 1,500 ships. That was not an exploration fleet or a diplomatic mission. That was an invasion force large enough to conquer entire star systems. She moved closer to the display, watching as red dots continued to appear on the screen like a plague of digital locusts. "Distance and speed," Elena asked, fighting to keep her voice steady. "They're still 4 months out at current velocity," Dr. Santos replied, her scientific training helping her maintain composure. "But Captain, these ships are massive. Each one is at least 10 times larger than our biggest space station. The energy signatures we're detecting suggest weapons and shields far beyond our current technology." Elena stared at the screen, watching as more ships continued to appear. The alien fleet moved in perfect formation, like a school of predatory fish swimming through the cosmic ocean. There was something terrifyingly beautiful about their precision, something that spoke of an intelligence that had done this many times before. "Have they detected us?" Elena asked. "Unknown," Tom replied. "They're maintaining course and speed toward Earth. No deviation, no attempt at communication. They're coming straight for us." Elena walked to the communication station and activated the emergency protocols that had been established decades ago. Within minutes, her message would reach every human outpost, every colony, every ship in the solar system. The message was simple but carried the weight of humanity's future in its brief words. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez at Outer Rim Station. Alpha, code black, confirmed. Repeat, code black, confirmed. Multiple hostile contacts approaching Earth. All units implement Protocol 7 immediately. This is not a drill." As the message transmitted across the solar system, Elena turned back to her crew. These were good people, trained professionals, who had dedicated their lives to watching the darkness for signs of danger. Now that danger had found them, and she could see the fear in their eyes. "Tom, I want continuous tracking on that fleet. Every ship, every movement, every change in course or speed. Maria, start analyzing their technology. I want to know what we're dealing with." Elena paused, looking at the faces of her crew. and send a coded message to Admiral Chen on Earth. Tell him the Watchers have seen the storm, and it's bigger than we ever imagined. The next few hours passed in a blur of activity. The alien fleet continued its relentless approach toward Earth, never wavering from its course. More ships appeared on the sensors until the count reached over 2,000 vessels. Each new contact added to the growing sense of dread that filled the station. Dr. Santos worked tirelessly to understand the technology that powered the approaching fleet. Her analysis revealed energy patterns unlike anything in human science, weapons that could burn through the hulls of entire space stations, and shields that could deflect the most powerful human missiles. The aliens possessed technology that made humanity's greatest achievements look like stone tools. "Captain," Dr. Santos called out, her voice tight with worry. "I've been analyzing their communication signals. The computer has managed to decode some of their language." Alina hurried over to the analysis station. "What are they saying?" "They call themselves the Zephyrian Empire. From what I can understand, they've conquered 17 different star systems. They have a standard procedure for new worlds." Dr. Santos paused, her face growing pale. "They demand complete surrender within 72 hours of arrival. If the planet refuses, they eliminate all life and claim the world for their empire." "How many times have planets refused?" Alina asked, though she already suspected the answer. "According to their communications, no planet has ever successfully resisted them. They've never faced real opposition." Alina felt a cold smile cross her face. The aliens might have superior technology and overwhelming numbers, but they had made one critical mistake. They had underestimated humanity. For 50 years, Earth had been preparing for this day. Hidden factories throughout the solar system had been building weapons that existed only in the deepest classified files. Secret research stations had pushed the boundaries of human science far beyond what most people knew was possible. The Zephyrian Empire thought they were approaching a primitive world defended by simple rockets and crude lasers. They had no idea that humanity had been watching the stars and preparing for war since the day they first looked up at the night sky and wondered if they were alone. Alina activated the priority communication channel to Earth. Admiral Marcus Ch's weathered face appeared on the screen within moments, his grey eyes sharp with intelligence and determination. "Alina, give me the situation," Chen said without preamble. "Admiral, we have over 2,000 Zephyrian warships approaching Earth. They'll be here in 4 months. They're expecting us to surrender or die." Alina paused, looking directly into the camera. "I recommend we show them what happens when someone threatens the human race." Chen nodded grimly. "Agreed, Alina. You and your crew have done excellent work. Now it's time for Phase 2. Earth Defense Command is activating all hidden assets. The Zephyrians are about to learn why humanity survived the Ice Age, the Plague Years, and 2 world wars." As the communication ended, Alina looked out at the approaching alien fleet. They moved with the confidence of predators who had never faced a worthy opponent. Soon, they would discover that Earth was not like the other worlds they had conquered. Humanity would not go quietly into extinction. The Watchers had seen the storm approaching, and now it was time for Earth to show the galaxy what humans could do when their survival was at stake. The swarm approaches. Admiral Marcus Chen stood in the war room, buried 3 miles beneath the Colorado mountains, surrounded by screens that showed every corner of the solar system. The room hummed with quiet efficiency as dozens of officers coordinated humanity's response to the approaching Zephyrian fleet. Chen had spent 30 years preparing for this moment. building Earth's secret defenses, while the world above went about its daily life, unaware of the weapons being forged in their name. The main display showed the alien fleet's steady approach. Now, just 3 months from Earth, intelligence reports from Captain Vasquez's station painted a grim picture of the enemy's capabilities, but Chen had learned long ago that superior technology meant nothing without the will to use it effectively. The Zephyrians had conquered 17 worlds through intimidation and overwhelming force. They had never faced an enemy that fought back with equal determination. Admiral, Dr. Kim has arrived. With the analysis you requested, announced Colonel Janet Pierce, Chen's chief of staff. The colonel's crisp uniform and professional demeanor concealed a brilliant tactical mind that had helped design many of Earth's hidden defenses. Dr. Sarah Kim entered the war room carrying a tablet filled with data that would change everything. She was young for such an important position, barely 35, but her expertise in alien technology had made her indispensable to Earth's defense efforts. Her black hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and her dark eyes sparkled with the excitement of discovery. Admiral, I've completed my analysis of the Zephyrian fleet. Dr. Kim began, her voice steady despite the magnitude of what she was about to reveal. Their technology is advanced, but it's also standardized across their entire empire. They use the same ship designs, the same weapons, the same defensive systems on every world they conquer. Chen leaned forward, sensing opportunity in her words. Meaning they've become predictable. Their success has made them lazy. They haven't innovated in centuries because they haven't needed to. Every species they've encountered has used similar technology, similar tactics. Dr. Kim touched her tablet and new data appeared on the main screen. But we're different. Our technology developed along completely different lines because we evolved in isolation. The screen showed detailed schematics of Zephyrian ships alongside human designs. Where the alien vessels were massive and heavily armored, human ships were sleek and agile. Where the Zephyrians relied on brute force, humans had developed precision and stealth. The two approaches to warfare were so different they might as well have been from different universes. Show me our advantages, Chen ordered. Dr. Kim smiled, and for the first time since the crisis began, Chen felt a spark of hope. Our quantum cloaking technology is completely invisible to their sensors. Our adaptive AI systems can learn and counter their tactics in real time. And our nanotechnology, she paused, her smile growing wider. Admiral, they have no defense against molecular-level warfare. Their shields can stop energy beams and kinetic projectiles, but they can't stop individual atoms from passing through. Chen nodded, pieces of the puzzle falling into place in his mind. Colonel Pierce, activate Operation Ghost Protocol. I want all stealth ships deployed to intercept positions. Dr. Kim, how long before our nanite production facilities can begin full deployment? The asteroid belt factories have been producing nanites for 6 months, Dr. Kim replied. We have enough microscopic warriors to disable their entire fleet if we can get them close enough to the targets. Across the room, Communication Officer Lieutenant David Walsh raised his hand. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Zephyrian fleet. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. The main screen flickered, and suddenly the war room was filled with the image of an alien being unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Emperor Vexcalar was tall and thin, with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer in the light. His eyes were large and completely black, showing no emotion as he stared directly at the camera. When he spoke, his voice was translated by Earth's computers into perfect English, though something cold and mechanical remained in the tone. "Primitive inhabitants of the third planet," Vexcalar began, his words carrying the weight of absolute authority. "I am Emperor Vexcalar of the Zephyr Empire. Your world has been selected for incorporation into our domain. You will cease all military activities and prepare for occupation. Your governments will surrender unconditionally within 72 hours of our arrival at your planet." The Emperor paused, his black eyes seeming to look directly at each person. "In the war room, do not mistake this for negotiation. We have conquered 17 star systems using the same terms. No species has ever successfully resisted the Zephyrian Empire. Your compliance will result in the preservation of your species as a labor force. Resistance will result in complete extinction." The transmission ended, leaving the war room in silence. Chen looked around at his officers, seeing a mixture of fear and anger on their faces. The Emperor's casual dismissal of humanity, his assumption that Earth would simply surrender like every other world, filled the room with a cold fury that would fuel their response. "Well," Chen said quietly, "I suppose we should send a reply." He walked to the communication console and activated the transmission system. Within moments, his message would reach the Zephyrian fleet. Carried across space by the same technology that had detected their approach. "Emperor Vexcalar," Chen began, his voice calm and steady. "This is Admiral Marcus Chen, speaking for the people of Earth. We have received your terms and considered them carefully." He paused, looking directly into the camera. "Our answer is simple. Come and try." The transmission ended, and Chen turned back to his staff. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have 72 hours to prepare for the fight of our lives. The Zephyrians expect us to cower and surrender like every other species they've encountered. Instead, we're going to show them what happens when someone threatens the human race." Dr. Kim stepped forward, her tablet displaying new tactical information. "Admiral, I recommend we begin with psychological warfare. Their entire strategy depends on intimidation and overwhelming force. If we can make them doubt their superiority, we can disrupt their tactics before they even reach Earth." "Explain," Chen ordered. "We let them see our defenses gradually. Start with small engagements that seem like desperate attempts to slow them down. Let them think they're winning easily. Then we escalate, showing them capabilities they didn't expect. By the time they realize they're in real danger, it will be too late." Chen nodded approvingly. Dr. Kim's plan would allow humanity to control the pace of the conflict while gathering intelligence on Zephyrian capabilities. More importantly, it would give them time to position their secret weapons for maximum effect. "Colonel Pierce, begin deploying our ghost ships along the enemy's projected path. I want them to see scattered resistance at first, nothing that suggests our real capabilities." Chen turned to the main display, watching the red dots that represented the approaching fleet. Dr. Kim prepared the nanite deployment systems. "We'll give the Zephyrians exactly what they expect from a primitive world, right up until the moment we show them how wrong they are." As his staff hurried to implement the battle plan, Chen remained staring at the display. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered 17 star systems by assuming every species would react the same way to their threats. They had never encountered a species that had spent its entire evolutionary history fighting for survival against impossible odds. The Emperor thought he was approaching a helpless world defended by frightened primitives. Instead, he was flying directly into the most sophisticated trap ever constructed by human ingenuity. In 72 hours, the Zephyrian Empire would learn why Earth had never been conquered. and why humanity had earned its place among the stars through courage, determination, and the absolute refusal to surrender.